Welcome back once again to another video report presentation where we discover and learn about the Philippine Tourism Law. And for today's video, I'll be discussing the Chapter 11, which tackles about laws regulating professional congress organizers. But before we start, I'll be introducing myself first. I am Maria Ellen P. Anyat of BSSM 3A, and I hope you learned something from me. So, here's the topic outline for this chapter. First, we will talk about the introduction of this laws relating to Philippine Congress organizers and nature of the business, laws governing PCOs, and responsibilities and legal considerations, and safeguards to prevent legal issues. So that's all for our topic outline, and let's proceed talking about our learning objectives. So at the end of this lesson, students were expected to first is to enumerate the responsibilities of professional congress organizers. Second is to identify the laws that govern the business of congress, conference, or event organizers. And last but not the least is to provide examples of safeguards that may be observed by professional congress organizers to prevent violation of any law. So now, let's move forward for our discussion proper. Introduction. The events industry plays a crucial role in facilitating business, academic, and cultural exchanges through conferences, exhibitions, and trade shows. Professional congress organizers are responsible for ensuring these events run smoothly, meeting both client expectations and legal requirements. This chapter explores the various laws and regulations governing PCOs, highlighting the responsibilities in compliance, contracts, permits, and ethical standards to uphold professionalism in events management. Now, let's move forward for our discussion proper. So, nature and description of the business. So, let's talk about convention. So, this is any gathering for the purpose of exchanging or disseminating views, technical expertise, experiences, knowledge, skills, informations, policies, or any other related activities. It does not include corporate meetings or events where participation is limited to company personnel only. So the term shall include any of the following. First is a conference. This is a structured event with general sessions and face-to-face discussions aimed at problem solving and decision making. Often includes keynote speakers, breakout sessions, and network opportunities. So, an example for this one is a leadership conference where business. The second one is the Congress. This is a term more commonly used in Europe to describe an international convention, often brings together delegates from different countries for large-scale discussions. Example for this one is the World Congress on Sustainable Tourism, where experts from around the world share research and policies. Another one is the seminar. So this is a small, interactive session led by an expert discussion leader with fewer than 30 participants. Focuses on sharing specialized knowledge and experiences in particular field. Example is a customer service seminar where hospitality managers learn best practices for guest relations. Another one is the lecture. So it is a formal presentation by an expert, often followed by an Q&A session and a primarily one-way communication but allows for some audience interaction. Example is a university professor giving a lecture on hospitality management trends. So another one is symposium. It is a panel discussion where experts in a specific field present their viewpoints and limited audience interaction, but still allows for some engagement. For example, is a medical symposium where doctors present research findings on public health issues. 6.1 is the forum. So it is a panel discussion like a symposium but with more audience participation. Experts debate opposing viewpoints, encouraging dialogue between panelists and attendees. Example is a climate change forum where scientists and policymakers debate solutions to global warming. So, the seventh one is workshop. So, this is a hands-on, interactive training session where participants actively engage in learning new skills. Attendance is usually limited to 30 to 35 participants to ensure effective interaction. For example, is a bartending workshop where participants practice cocktail making techniques. Ninth is the colloquium. It is a flexible discussion-based program where participants determine the topics to be addressed. It focuses equally on instruction and discussion, allowing for open dialogue. So example for this one is an academic colloquium where university researchers share their findings and discuss challenges in the hospitality industry. Last but not the least is the Professional Congress Organizer, or PCO. So they are the person or company responsible for managing conventions, conferences, and other professional events. They handle planning, logistics, budgeting, and compliance with. So example for this one is a PCO managing the International Travel Expo, ensuring smooth coordination among speakers, exhibitors, and delegates. So that's all for the nature and description of the business. And now, at this juncture of this video, we will discuss the laws regulating professional congress organizers, or PCOs, and their role in the events and tourism industry. So let's begin. So conventions, trade shows, and exhibitions are essential to the tourism and business sectors. But have you ever wondered who ensures these events run smoothly? This is where professional congress organizers, or PCOs, come in. So PCOs are specialists in managing large-scale events, taking care of everything from venue selection to logistics and financial planning. They act as an event planner for hire, making sure every detail is handled professionally. So, a PCO plays a vital role in events organization. Their key responsibilities include: first is the site selection, in which finding the best venue for an event. Second is negotiations, dealing with hotels, suppliers, and service providers. Third is the accounting and budgeting. They manage finances and expenses. Fourth is on-site logistics. They ensure smooth event execution. Fifth is legal and tax compliance. So they handle necessary permits and regulations. Sixth is the paperwork and documentation, in which they secure contracts and supplier agreements. So these professionals are particularly popular in Europe and other international cities where major conventions and exhibitions are held. And now, let's talk about the legal accreditation of PCOs in the Philippines. So in the Philippines, professional congress organizers must be accredited by the Department of Tourism. This ensures that PCOs meet professional standards and legal requirements. Now, who can apply for this accreditation? So the following are eligible applicants. First is, in case of single proprietorship, a business name, certificate, and all amendments thereto. In the case of partnership of corporations, a certified true copy of the articles of partnership or incorporation and its bylaws and amendments thereto, duly registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission. B, or the second one, is the complete list of executive officers and employees, indicating their nationality, home address, and their positions. The third one is a contract of lease or contract to lease the office space intended for the use of the PCO. Fourth one is the mayor's permit and municipal license. Fifth one is the latest income tax return and audited financial statements reflecting a minimum working capital of 100,000 pesos and such other documents that the department may require from time to time. So the PCO must also be located in a business district and must be easily identifiable. The certificate of accreditation shall be valid for a period of 1 year from the date of its issuance by the Department of Tourism. This requirement ensures that the events industry in the Philippines is locally controlled and contributes to the national economy. So that's all for the accreditation of the PCO. And now let's talk about why accreditation is important. So why is this necessary? So this is necessary as it ensures that events are professionally managed and meet international standards. Second is PCOs follow Philippine business laws and regulations. Last but not the least is the industry remains credible, reliable, and competitive in the global market. So accreditation is valid for 1 year and PCOs must renew it to continue operating legally. So that's all for our topic for this chapter, and I hope you learned something from me. But before I end this video, I will leave an inspirational quote to ponder upon. So this is from George Eliot. It says that it is never too late to be what you might have been. Again, so that's all for this chapter, and my name is Maria Ellen P. Onyat of BSHM 3A, and see you in our next videos.